In a season where many people hoped and expected, or should I say expected and hoped, that things were finally going to be different for this program, the Huskers fall to Northwestern in their season opener by a score of 31-28. And I really thought about what next week was going to look like for the Huskers as they take on North Dakota. And what is, in a way, a short week for them, as they're going to have to adapt to the jet lag being in Dublin for the last week. How are they going to adapt to the long plane ride home? I thought that it was going to result in three different things. If they won big, which it was starting to look like a little bit based off the way the offense was to begin the game by going down the field and scoring a touchdown in less than 2.5 minutes, that there's going to be a lot of confidence for this team this season, and they're going to absolutely smoke North Dakota next week. I thought that if they won in a dogfight, okay, then they have some confidence. It wasn't the way they wanted to win, but they still got the win. I'd say that they would still beat North Dakota pretty handily. They'd probably struggle a bit early on, but they get it done in the end. And then I thought of the worst case scenario was if they lost. And if it was by one possession, like we have been seeing all throughout the Scott Frost era, that it's going to be really bad for their psyche. The long flight home after a defeat in a game where they honestly should have won. And I will say this right now, I would not be surprised if next week we saw Nebraska, North Dakota look a lot like Nebraska and McNeese State back in 2014. I would not be surprised if next week was a game like that, where they struggle the entire game and they win it at the very end. Now, to reiterate what I said a moment ago, the first possession where they moved the ball at will and got a touchdown in the first 2.5 minutes, that was looking like it was going to set the tone not only for this game, but for the season for the Huskers. But for Northwestern to win the game, Ryan Helinski was going to have a perfect game. Northwestern was going to have a perfect game of football to beat Nebraska, considering that Nebraska just beat Northwestern 56-7 less than 10.5 months ago. What I noticed was quite a few missed opportunities on defense for the Huskers, as I counted at least maybe 3 to 4 plays just in the first half of plays that should have been stopped behind the line of scrimmage, but it resulted in either positive yards or a first down. Maybe there was more, but I counted at least 3 to 4 just in the first half alone. Overall, as a fan of college football, as someone that has no team in the game, I found this game to be quite exciting from start to finish. A game that was all about momentum shifts. Just an overall exciting game. 993 total yards of offense in this game, which wasn't necessarily expected, as based off of history, a lot of games that have taken place historically outside the U.S., the scores have been quite low. So I found this a really entertaining game. That fumble before halftime, in what wasn't a fumble, but unfortunately it was too close to overturn that decision. That is the start of what did Nebraska in, but they had the opportunity to recover from that. Casey Thompson scrambling and extending the play that led to Nebraska taking the lead in that second half. And then they go up 11, 28-17. This was the ultimate moment where Nebraska lost the game and Northwestern won it. Scott Frost calls for an onside kick up 11 when he just got all of the momentum back in the game. You have all the momentum you can ask for. Where before today, you are 1-3 in your season openers. And the one win was a game where the defense carried them with 5 turnovers. You have the opportunity to get that first win out of the way, to silence the critics at least for a couple of weeks, as their next 2 games are North Dakota and Georgia Southern. You call for an onside kick up 11. You don't get it. The defense has been getting shredded the entire game. And Northwestern quickly scores a touchdown to make it a 28-24 game. And then 3 and out. Northwestern on their next possession. They go 11 plays. They go 71 yards in 11 plays. They miss the field goal. Then you give the ball right back to them. And in less than a minute, Northwestern scores another touchdown to go up 31-28. And then what happens after that? Well, just another punt, and an interception to end the game. Now let's go through this again, just for fun, and because I'm trying to get this to at least a 9-minute video. After the onside kick, when they're up 11, Northwestern touchdown, a Nebraska punt, a Northwestern punt, a Nebraska punt. Northwestern misses a field goal. Casey Thompson throws an interception, giving the ball right back to Northwestern after missing a field goal from 36 yards out, where they could have made it a 1-point game. Northwestern touchdown in 50 seconds. A Nebraska punt. A Northwestern punt, a Nebraska punt, a Northwestern punt. You know, the defense is actually forcing punts, as much as I did really criticize the defense there. But they really were getting shredded all game. The defensive backs, they were leaving Northwestern receivers wide open this entire game. And they just completely got ran on by Evan Hull and Cam Porter. In fact, it was over 214 Northwestern rushing yards. And the Black Shirts gave up 527 yards on defense. And then ultimately an interception to end the game. And I've already seen some Nebraska fans on the social medias, and I've gotten some messages from Nebraska fans about how they want to say goodbye to Scott Frost right now, because if they can't beat Northwestern, a team they demolished 56-7 last season, just 10.5 months ago, are you really going to get to 6-7 wins this season? Doubt it. And then we find out what we already knew in the post-game press conference, that Scott Frost made the call for the onside kick. Up 11, when you have all the momentum in the world that you can ask for, and Scott Frost calls for an onside kick, who do you think he is, Kevin Kelly? I mean, geez. And you know what? I'm going to actually bring it up. I know that there's still 11 more games left in the season, but who is going to replace Scott Frost as the head coach for Nebraska? Because we know that Trev Alberts has alpha male energy, and he's going to be willing to spend money to bring over a coach. Some candidates that come to mind, I mean, Matt Campbell could be a very popular prediction once we get to it, but I'm going to be the first one to do it. I mean, maybe some outside the box predictions. Maybe even Lane Kiffin. You know, if the money's right, which we know it probably will. In fact, it will be because Trev Alberts, like I said a moment ago, has alpha male energy and he'll spend money. Because Ole Miss, they're not able to compete with NIL as well compared to some other teams. Maybe even Mike Gundy. Maybe if they can bring in Mike Gundy, maybe Nebraska can bring in Zane Flores. I had a conversation with the Huskers fan about a week and a half ago, and he said maybe even Dave Aranda from Baylor, which I think would be a really strong candidate, but who knows? Maybe it will turn out to be another Bo Pelini. Maybe Bo Pelini 2.0. But I am going to leave it at that. Another game where Nebraska, they should have won the game. They had momentum up 11, but then Scott Frost calls for the onside kick, doesn't get the onside kick, and it ultimately leads to what we have seen in the entire Scott Frost era, another one-possession defeat for the Huskers. The LA Chargers of college football, because the LA Chargers, like Nebraska, they have all the hype to them every single year, and they always lose one-possession games.